Next up in our preview is the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who started the season unranked and finished at number 16 after a 10-4 campaign, winning the Texas Bowl and making it all the way to the Big 12 championship game as well. So again, have high hopes in 2024, Dalton, because of a guy that we'll talk about in just a second, in Ollie Gordon, the best running back in America. But they also bring back Alan Bowman, their quarterback. They also bring back Brennan Presley, who's a really, really good receiver as well, and all 5 starters on the offensive line. It'll need its defense, more specifically the coverage unit, to improve if they want to win the Big 12. But man, with number 0 leading the way in that backfield, man, you got to really be high on Oklahoma State's offense next year.
Yeah, and I mean, I know now all of a sudden there's some questions about Ollie Gordon with some things off the field, but you can't question the on-the-field production last year, putting up over 1,700 yards in basically like 10 games. And you go, they had 3 really soft opponents at the beginning of the year, and he could have easily had 2,300 yards if he played more in those games. But no, Gordon's the headline. When you play the Cowboys, your one goal is, how do we not let Ollie Gordon get over 200 yards on us? He's the reigning Doak Walker Award for a reason. He's a Heisman candidate if he plays a full season, 12, 13, 14 games. This is public enemy number 1, really, when you talk about a defense going and playing against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's going for another Doak Walker Award, which not many have done before. So you look at guys like Darren McFadden has done it before, and Jonathan Taylor has done it before, and that's it for the Doak Walker Award. So Ollie Gordon going for a second Doak Walker Award, be only the 3rd running back ever to accomplish that. But the biggest weakness I just mentioned before is probably the secondary. They were 103rd in coverage grade last year and didn't really add too much in the transfer portal to fix that issue. In fact, they actually lost a starting corner in DJ McKinney, who went over to Colorado. So the secondary, which has been exposed a couple times, remember that Texas game, especially in the Big 12 title game, Ewers went off in that game. The secondary still looks like it'll be an issue for Oklahoma State next year. Dalton, tell me more about Alan Bowman, though. Obviously, you know, his job is mainly going to be handing the ball off to Ollie Gordon, but tell me more about him as a passer, what to expect from him in another year as a starting quarterback for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got a ton of experience, right? I believe he's been in college football since 2018. And I think the biggest thing with Bowman is what he is at this point, even with so much experience, is a complimentary passer, right? You need him to make the throws just in the plays that you need when you can't hand the ball off to Gordon, right? The occasional 3rd and 8s and things like that. And when he makes quick decisions and he gets the ball to the perimeter quickly, it's a good quarterback. On throws under 2.5 seconds, he was a top 15 passer in the country. You just don't want him getting too much further beyond that, because Oklahoma State's not a great pass protecting team, and he's not really that great at making decisions late in plays. When he can make his first read, get the ball outside and even down the field outside quickly, he can be a really good complementary piece to this offense. But he's certainly not a guy I would want carrying my team, you know, through a big comeback, or if Gordon's having an off night or something like that. There really needs to be a good script for Bowman. But when there is one, he can operate very, very well when he's making quick decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the guy that we talked about before is Ollie Gordon, who is clearly the offensive player to spotlight for them. Led all running backs in the country last year, like I said, with 1,732 rushing yards, was second in the country with 21 rushing touchdowns, and was second in the country with 1,056 yards after contact. Also, as you saw by that one-handed catch right there, really good receiving back as well. 3rd among Power 5 running backs with 330 receiving yards last year. And the crazy thing about all those numbers, he only had 25 total touches in the first 3 games, and those were 3 easy games too, right? So you could have had even bigger numbers. You could have gone for 2,000 yards plus as a runner for them last year. And Oklahoma State last year was 102nd in run blocking grade. So they were not creating these massive holes for Ollie Gordon to run through. He really was grinding out these yards and finding lanes himself. He's got really good vision, really good footwork, and an excellent athlete as well. He was 3rd among all running backs last year, Dalton, with a maximum speed of 23.1 miles per hour. This guy can fly if you give him a crease, and he is the best running back that we have in college football, and arguably maybe the best player in college football, because if you think about it, every position last year in college football, the best player at that position entered the NFL draft, except for running back, with Ollie Gordon coming back to school for another year. So there is a strong argument to be made that Ollie Gordon might be the best player in college football right now.
No, absolutely, and he's going to be the reason offensively that they get carried. And you look at him, and you look at him being the number one back on our list. So on defense, I'll tell you what, at linebacker, they got a top 10 guy that was on our list too, and that's Colin Oliver, man. And he's a converted edge player, moved back to linebacker last year, and yet his best skill was still rushing the passer, right? Blitzed him a lot, played in the slot even a little bit, inside, outside, off the edge, wherever. He's just one of those guys, just a football player, man. But he loves rushing the passer, is really good at it, switches to linebacker and leads all linebackers in pressures too. So kind of a unique player for sure, like almost like the Oklahoma State version of Harold Perkins a little bit. Still some work to do in run defense to get a little bit better, but it's hard to deny his talent as a pass rusher, as a blitzer, coming from multiple angles, wherever in the world he's coming from in the front seven. Colin Oliver is a guy who really stands out in their front seven, even with some struggles on the back end. They know they can rush the passer with him there.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of show how good of a pass rusher he is, even though he's only a linebacker, I interviewed Joe Alt a couple years ago, and I asked him, hey, who's the hardest guy you've ever had to block in your collegiate career? And he said, two guys. Miles Murphy gave him a lot of fits. Miles Murphy went on, Clemson edge defender, went on to be a first-round pick for the Cincinnati Bengals a couple years ago in the NFL draft. He said Colin Oliver was the other one. Colin Oliver gave me a lot of fits with his speed, his ability to bend around the corner. So even though he's a linebacker, he still gave the best offensive tackle in college football last year and one of the best we've seen in recent memory, a lot of fits as a pass rusher. So Colin Oliver is a really, really fun player to watch, man. All right, bottom line time now, Dalton. What is the ceiling and the floor for this Oklahoma State team? Will this be another year where they just rely on Ollie Gordon to carry them as far as he can take them, or will they kind of maybe open up the offense a little bit more with Alan Bowman and Brennan Presley and guys like that? What should we expect from the Cowboys next year?
I think you expect a lot of the same as what you had last year. I don't know, unless Bowman fixes his footwork in the pocket. There's a lot of times he kind of leans back in his delivery and his accuracy can waver. Not that often because he's one of the more accurate quarterbacks, but the moments when he's not, there's some bad overthrows. Look, he had 15 turnover-worthy plays from a clean pocket last year. I believe that was the fourth most in the country. So you just can't, in a clean pocket in good situations, have a lack of accuracy and give the ball away, right? And that's the part where I would question, where kind of talked about in our previous previews about there's kind of a big four quarterbacks right now in the Big 12, right? Shedeur Sanders, Noah Fafita, Garrett Green, and Jalen Daniels, for me, would be the big four in the conference. Is Bowman decent? Absolutely. I just don't know, in big games like we saw in the conference title game, when Texas comes in with one of the best run defenses in the country and Ollie Gordon shut down, what now? What happens when Oklahoma State falls behind, right? And they need to rely on Bowman to maybe for a week or two put him on his back what if Gordon pulls a hamstring or something, right? Like, those are the factors that I go, is this a team that can only win one way? Which is why I wouldn't put them at the very top of the Big 12 conversation. Now, they always play above their talent level. They're always really well coached, and Ollie Gordon can take over any game at any time. But there's a lot of flaws here where I go, I don't know if they're an inner circle Big 12 contender just because of the quarterback situation and the passing game living up to what the running game already can do.
Yeah, I guess a good point. I think this is Ollie Gordon is so special that he gives them a high floor just because of how good he is, but they're going to need a more consistent passing game, and the defense, especially in the secondary, has to get a lot better to reach their ceiling, though, and be a legit Big 12 contender. Now, I will say, you look at their schedule, they have the third easiest schedule in the Big 12, according to our power rankings. Does start off with an interesting one, Dalton. They play South Dakota State week 1. South Dakota State, yes, they're an FCS school, but they're the reigning defending back-to-back FCS national champions. That's a really, really fun game week 1 for Oklahoma State to go up against. They play Arkansas as another non-con game. I think we both agree that we think Oklahoma State's better than Arkansas heading into next year. They play Tulsa, they play Utah, they play Kansas State, West Virginia. Other than that, it's a pretty manageable and easy schedule. Other than that, and they'll play Colorado with the last game of the season. But I think Oklahoma State can surprise some people and win maybe 7-8 games next year, right? And be a pretty good team. Again, I don't know if I'm going to pick them to win I won't pick them to win the conference. I don't really know if they're a legitimate. They have the third best odds to win the Big 12 right now. I don't think I agree with that, but I do think they're close to being in that inner circle, like you said, of the teams to win the Big 12 next year. That's what we got for our preview of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Hey, thanks for watching the PFF College Football Show. Before I let you go, though, we have an unbelievable deal for you guys right now. If you use the code CFB25, you get 25% off your PFF Plus annual subscription. We've got the 2024 College Football Preview Guide that you can find over at pff.com, featuring the best players in the country from all 70 Power 5 teams, plus 10 Group of 5 teams that have the best chance at making the college football playoff as well. You can also gain access to NCAA premium stats for historical games, teams, and player tracking dating all the way back to 2014, so the last decade or so of college football. All the stats you can hope for, you can find in PFF Premium as well. Also, you can be the GM of your favorite NFL team with our unbelievable mock draft simulator, where you can draft up to 7 rounds of players for your NFL team. And if you want to dominate your fantasy league, you can do that as well using the best fantasy tools on the planet. All of that and more with your PFF Plus annual subscription, which you can find for 25% off right now with the code you can find in the description. Or if you want to go to subscribe.pff.com and use the code CFB25 at checkout, again, you get 25% off your PFF Plus subscription. This won't last forever, so make sure you take advantage of it right now.